Hi, everybody. My name is Ona, and I work for Aspen Adult Services. And welcome to another public service announcement. I got to sit down with my friend Colleen, who works for NAMI here in Helena, the National Association for Mental Illness. And in this video, she gave us about the best definition of mental illness that I've ever heard. She talks about their education programs, their support groups, and how they can help people in our community. So as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to give us a thumbs up on YouTube. And if you can think of anything else that you'd like to see a PSA about, please let us know either on our Facebook page or in the comments below.
My name is Colleen and I work for NAMI Montana as the Education Director.
Okay, and NAMI stands for?
NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness.
Okay.
It's a national organization out of Virginia.
What is mental illness?
Well, mental illness is a disruption of the neurocircuits in your brain.
That's really the most boiled down, basic definition of mental illness, because that's a lot less demeaning, it's a lot less scary, it's a lot less embarrassing, maybe is the right word, when you look at it in that context or with that definition.
Right. It's an illness in your brain. Or it's like having, not cancer, but diabetes. You know, your blood sugars aren't working right. It's an illness in your brain where your neurons are not communicating right with each other.
And it can be caused from trauma, a head injury.
There's biological factors, there's biological and environmental factors that contribute to mental illness. Biological is stuff like genetics, family history. Environmental factors could be, drug and alcohol abuse. It could be trauma. It can be like a traumatic event. It could be a head injury. NAMI has education programs and support groups for people with mental illness and their families. Our mission is to educate, advocate, and support people with mental illness and their families. So my portion is the education piece.
And how do you do that?
We have it's kind of differentiated in, we want peers to get support and we want family members to get support. So we have support groups and education classes for each. We don't combine both of them due to it not being really a safe space. If you are in a support group with your loved one, they might not be able to talk as openly as they would. NAMI programs and support groups are the information that you get and the relationships that you make are life-changing, and especially if you have a loved one. For the family support group and the family-to-family class, you learn, you leave with a more better understanding of how to communicate, how to deal with, how to better get your loved one help. Got into NAMI because of that.
How does somebody get involved with NAMI? Do you have to qualify for your program? Do you have to be able to prove through a doctor? Do you have to, a doctor's referral? How does that happen?
No, you don't have to. The only way that you, like I was talking earlier, the only way that you qualify for each program is if you have a family member with a mental illness, then generally you'll go to the family support groups or the family education class, learn about that. Family and friends, we also have a family and friends seminar that I can talk about later that's statewide and it's offered to everybody. And then peer-to-peer, the peer support group, the connection peer support group, or the peer-to-peer education class is generally for people with mental illness to kind of learn more about their symptoms, their illness, what they can do. And the support is just get support from people that kind of are going through the same thing you are. And then the fantastic thing about these support groups and education classes is that you feel like you're not alone. There's other people out there that are kind of going through what you're going through. So you don't need to have a doctor's order. For the support groups, you don't need to even register. You could call up NAMI Montana. I can tell you where it is and when, and just show up for the support groups. The education classes are a little differently, where I need to have information about how many people are going to be in your education class, because what I do is I buy materials for that from NAMI National.
Are you able to hook people up with other resources as well?
I am. That's when people call, they're usually calling because they don't know what to do. Like their loved one has displaying some symptoms that they're really unaware of, or they got diagnosed. They just got recently diagnosed with a mental illness. So they call and I can help them find providers. I can make suggestions on what the next steps are, like get an evaluation, or if someone is exhibiting such behaviors that they become, that like the families are worried about them and worried about their safety, then we talk a lot about what are those next steps. You know, you get them to the emergency room, or you can call 911, and I always refer them to the CIT. They're crisis intervention trained officers, and they have been trained to respond to a mental health emergency. And that's usually really helpful for people to know that they have that, because a lot of people are reluctant, as you know, to call the police on their loved one if they're having a mental health crisis. And then they can usually direct them or send them to the correct place, even maybe take them to the hospital and get them to a place where they can get stabilized.
And there's no cost to people who want to avail themselves of your service?
No cost at all. The groups and the classes, they're all free. Everything we do for people is free. I would love to see NAMI in every community in the state. We have NAMI's affiliates in, like I said earlier, in 10 communities. I would love to see our rural communities have NAMI programs, and that's what we're striving for. In the springtime, I usually have trainings where I get state trainers who have been trained by NAMI National to bring these programs to the state of Montana. They come, people in your community, if you're interested in learning how to run or facilitate a support group, or teach a NAMI class, you can come to the training and learn how to do that and bring it to your community. NAMI Montana is a wonderful place to call or to come if you need resources and help, if you don't have the answers for what to do for your loved one who is dealing with a mental health challenge. We are very supportive, and if we don't have answers for you, we'll get them.